My cousin disappeared to join a mercenary group overseas, ignoring our family for years. When he returned thinking we'd celebrate him, I calmly showed him the court documents for the property he tried to claim. My cousin Jake vanished right after college graduation. No goodbye to his mom, no explanation to the family, just a cryptic Facebook post about finding real purpose beyond the suburban prison, and a grainy photo of him in tactical gear somewhere in Eastern Europe. His mom, my Aunt Sarah, was absolutely devastated. She'd raised him alone after his dad walked out when Jake was 12. She worked double shifts at the hospital for years to put him through college, always talking about how proud she was that he'd be the first in our family to graduate, and he repaid her by ghosting everyone. For the first year, she'd call my mom every few weeks, voice shaking, asking if we'd heard anything. Had he contacted us? Was he safe? Did we know where he was? My mom would try to comfort her, but what could she say? Meanwhile, Jake's Instagram was active. Photos of him holding rifles in desert locations, group shots with other mercenaries, all of them looking like they were living some action movie fantasy. Captions about real brotherhood and purpose beyond materialism. He never once called his mother. Not on her birthday, not on Christmas, not even when his grandmother, her mom, passed away. 5 years of complete silence while Aunt Sarah held on to hope that maybe, just maybe, he'd come home. Then 2 years ago, everything changed. Aunt Sarah had a massive stroke at work. She survived, but the left side of her body was partially paralyzed. She needed a wheelchair, daily therapy, home modifications, medication, nursing care. The medical bills were astronomical. Her insurance covered some of it, but not nearly enough. She burned through her savings in 8 months, started selling things, her car, furniture, jewelry, anything of value. My mom and I helped where we could, but we weren't wealthy either. We set up a small fundraiser, but it barely made a dent. Through all of this, Jake posted a photo of himself parasailing in Thailand. The comments were full of people calling him inspirational for living authentically. That's when I suggested she talk to a lawyer about the cabin. Jake's grandfather had left a small property in the mountains to both Jake and Aunt Sarah. It was worth maybe $300,000. Not a fortune, but enough to cover her care for years. The problem was the will stated both had to agree to sell it. The lawyer found something interesting, though. There was an abandonment clause in the will, a protection mechanism Jake's grandfather had added because he'd watched too many families torn apart by inheritance disputes. If either heir failed to maintain contact with family or contribute to property taxes for 36 consecutive months, their claim would be forfeit. Jake had been gone 60 months, never paid a cent toward property taxes, never called. The court process took 14 months, but eventually, the judge ruled in Aunt Sarah's favor. Jake's rights to the property were terminated. We didn't tell him. How could we? We had no way to contact him until last month. He showed up at Aunt Sarah's house on a Tuesday afternoon. Tan, muscular, wearing expensive sunglasses and a designer watch. Walked in like he'd just been gone for a weekend trip. "Hey, Mom! Surprise!" Aunt Sarah just stared at him from her wheelchair. Her face was unreadable. He hugged her awkwardly. She didn't hug back, then immediately started talking about his adventures, the places he'd seen, the things he'd done. 15 minutes of him talking. Not once did he ask how she was doing. Then he got to the point. "So, I'm thinking we sell the cabin and I can use my half to buy a place near the coast. I met this girl in Croatia and Jake, I'd been standing in the kitchen doorway. Can I talk to you outside?" He followed me to the porch. I handed him the folder. "Read them." I watched his face change. Confusion, disbelief, anger. "This can't be legal. That's my inheritance. You abandoned it. Abandoned her. For 5 years. I was finding myself, you were posting vacation photos while your mother sold everything to pay for medical care." He looked back, finally noticing the wheelchair ramp, the hospital bed through the window. "Mom had a stroke 2 years ago." His face went pale. "Nobody told me. You blocked everyone." He tried to go back inside. Aunt Sarah held up her hand. "Leave, Jake. Mom, please, leave." He walked to his car and drove away. The cabin sold 3 weeks later. Every penny went to Aunt Sarah's care.